The atmosphere in Washington is charged with tension, and the stakes have never been higher. Picture this: the President of the United States, leader of the world's most dominant country, openly suggesting that Canada, one of America's dearest friends and biggest trading partners, simply become the 51st state. Stunning, insulting, impossible to disregard. How far will it go? And what does it do to the people, the businesses, and the independence of Canada? As this saga plays out, you must remain up to date and be a part of the debate. Subscribe now and enable notifications so that you do not miss a single update.
A couple of weeks ago, they want to be part of it. To which I said, well, why don't you just join our country? You become 51, become the 51st state, and you get it for free. So I don't know if that made a big impact,
But this is hardly loose commentary. The warnings are that these words are calculated, a combination of diversion from home crises, hammy acting, and low-key pressure tactics directly aimed at Canada. Each public statement, each hint of tariff, each headline is part of a well-calculated plan. The genuine question still stands. Is it political theater, or is Canada being used as a pawn in an infinitely larger...
You can tell the president wants to boast about his lacking war record. He wants to boast about territorial expansion. So, of course, the 51st state idea comes up. And sometimes you have to wonder if Donald Trump wants to be president of the United States in 2025 or 1825. Because between tariffs and territorial expansion, these sound like the agenda of a president from the 19th century.
Leaders nationwide react with measured attention across Canada. Ontario Premier Doug Ford will not allow chaos to drive policy. Forget about Trump, Ford states. We need to work on making conditions for businesses to invest here, putting money back in people's pockets, and creating the most competitive place anywhere in the world.
President Trump's back at it again. This guy's too much. He's out there back on his 51st state. Again, I'm going to ignore him. I'm going to start focusing with our federal government what we can do to be more competitive, to lower taxes, create the environment and conditions for companies to come here, attract more companies. We have Vic Fideli, and I always give the guy a shout out because I don't know how the guy does it. One day he's in Germany getting new business.
But even as Canada fortifies its home front, the outside pressure intensifies. Tariffs on softwood lumber jump 35%, new levies loom over furniture and film sectors, and 100% tariffs on overseas produced movies hang in the balance. These are not just figures, they're actual jobs, actual families, actual communities in jeopardy. How will Canadian industries and workers keep up with this mounting pressure?
New tariffs are imposed on Canada. We're going to see duties on softwood lumber increase by another 10%. So that's now over 35%. In a couple of weeks, there are going to be additional tariffs. Expect more crazy, because as things get difficult for Trump, he reaches for these tools. He distracts, he puts the blame on others, and he attacks. He attacks countries, ironically, who are his friends like Canada.
In the middle of this tempest, Prime Minister Mark Carney is poised to enter the eye of the hurricane. The Oval Office itself. It is no photo op. It is a trial of sanity, sovereignty, and Carney's mettle in the face of a president who feeds on chaos. Will he get sector-specific aid? Can he stand up for Canada's dignity without compromising trade? Canadians across the country are watching closely.
This here breaking news as we follow the story out of Ottawa and out of Washington, D.C. Prime Minister Mark Carney will be heading to the U.S. Capitol next week, Tuesday, to try and find some kind of a trade deal with the United States amid Donald Trump's trade war against Canada. The Prime Minister will be meeting face-to-face with Donald Trump. This will actually be their second meeting since Mark Carney became Prime Minister. Canada dealing with a trade war through no fault of our own, targeting our steel, aluminum, car sectors, softwood lumber, you name it. Former Foreign Affairs Minister Peter MacKay was on our show earlier, talking a little bit about what this meeting might mean and also Donald Trump's continued insults about.
With each passing day comes a new turn. The U.S. government partially shut down $400 million daily wages on ice, and a president brandishing tariffs as weapons, doubt prevails. And just when it seems the strategy is predictable, another public comment, a new tariff, or a shocking remark surfaces, keeping Canada and the world on edge. Within this tension lies opportunity. Canada has co-production treaties with over 60 countries, a strong domestic production scene, and the potential to diversify trade beyond the United States. Might these dangers actually drive innovation, fresh alliances, and an economy more independent? Or will the pressure produce concessions weakening the nation's hand? Questions continue to pile up, Can Carney outmaneuver a president who excels at unpredictability? Will Canada come out on top, or will this confrontation leave permanent harm? How will families, small business owners, and workers react as trade tensions imperil their survival? The drama is high stakes, and sovereignty, jobs, and economic security are mutually entwined. Trump's every step, Carney's every reaction, and each Canadian leader's strategic move matters. This isn't news, it's a national test, and Canadians are watching, waiting, and hoping that their leaders will shield them from harm. The players are assembled, the stage is set, and the emerging Canada-US trade war is just getting started. Every business, every family, every citizen has a vested interest in the outcome. And as Carney gets set to confront Trump in the next few days, the question is, will Canada uphold its dignity or be pushed into compromise? As the stakes are raised, the world watches in suspense. Prime Minister Mark Carney enters Washington with the understanding that the stakes have never been higher. Trump's statements regarding Canada as the 51st state are more than mere provocations. They serve as a constant reminder that Canada is being pushed, ridiculed, and tested at every turn. The steel, aluminum, lumber, and auto tariffs are not abstract figures. They are threats to actual families, communities, and industries throughout the country. Each delayed shipment, each raised duty, each new declaration introduces uncertainty and worry. How far will Trump push? And how far can Canada stand firm without yielding to this pressure? Analysts warn that these statements are deliberate, a mix of distraction from domestic crises, theatrical posturing, and subtle pressure tactics aimed squarely at Canada. Every public remark, every tariff hint, every headline is part of a carefully calculated strategy. The question is really, is this political drama, or is Canada being used as a bargaining ploy in a much larger game? Canada's leaders are playing it strategically. Carney's group is not being lured in. The objective is plain: defend Canadian industries, diversify trading partners, and use international co-production agreements to ensure autonomy. This is a challenge of both diplomacy and arithmetic. Can a steady, orderly, members-based leader such as Carney stand up to a president famous for unpredictability, narcissism, and theatrics? And in the meantime, American manufacturers, motorists, and companies continue to depend upon Canadian steel, aluminum, energy, and automotive components. Trump's belligerence, though theatrics, has real-world effects on both countries. Each step in this intensifying trade war has ripple effects throughout North America. And in the bedlam lies a chance. Canada is not quiescent. The country is moving, investing, and positioning itself to establish its sovereignty with minimal harm to its citizens and economy. Might these threats ultimately stimulate innovation, new alliances, and a more autonomous economy? Or will the pressure necessitate concessions that erode the country's leverage? Interest piles on. Can Carney craft sectoral tariff relief agreements? Can he defend Canadian dignity while ensuring trade continues to flow? And if the president raises the stakes again, how far will Canada resist before a deal is reached? Each choice made during the talks could determine the course of trade, industry, and sovereignty for decades to come. With Carney facing these risk-heavy talks, the spotlight is on him. The stakes are huge. Can he flip the script with hard, cold facts of American reliance on Canadian resources, or will Trump unpredictability rule the day? What will Canadian families, workers, and small business owners make of the result? Relief, dismay, or new worry? In this diplomatic fire chamber, Carney has to navigate both the drama of Trump's personality and actual pressures facing Canadian industries. Each tariff, each public comment, each headline is a test, and each decision Carney makes will come with repercussions. Canadians are waiting. Will he return with tangible wins, or will the country face the brunt of another political and economic showdown? The saga continues to play out, and the stakes have never been higher. Canada's sovereignty, dignity, and economic future are in the balance. And every move, every decision, and every reaction is vital. The questions are out there, and the answers will shape the course of this nation. The heat has been turned up to maximum. Canada is at a fork in the road where every choice, every bargaining, and every statement is of monumental importance. Prime Minister Mark Carney enters the Oval Office as much a diplomat as the representative of Canada's sovereignty. Fortitude and economic vigor. The stakes are high: steel, aluminum, lumber, and film industry tariffs, trade threats, and a president who feeds on unpredictability and drama. The world waits as Canadian industries, workers, and families' fates rest in his hands. Carney understands the burden of history rests on his shoulders. He will not be provoked by insults, diverted by distractions, or derailed by grandstanding. He is methodical, calculated, and supported by cold, hard facts. The U.S. depends on Canadian steel and aluminum. American factories rely on Canadian auto parts. And Canada's energy exports are essential to countless American industries. His message is straightforward yet powerful. Harm Canada and you harm America. Each graph, each number, each meticulously constructed argument is a bulwark against efforts to undermine Canadian sovereignty. But the opposition is relentless. Trump's unpredictability, his love of theater, and his willingness to ramp up tensions keep the room electric with unknowns. Canadians back home nervously ask, will Carney be able to win real relief, or will this high-wire negotiation end in concessions that sabotage national interests? How will the outcome be absorbed by families, workers, and business leaders? The anticipation is palpable, the questions numerous. Even when tensions are highest, there exist opportunities. Canada's robust domestic production environment, foreign co-production agreements, and diversified trade partnerships provide a way forward. The country can use these ascertained strengths to shield its industries, grow, and assert its autonomy. Could this moment of crisis become a turning point for Canada, catalyzing innovation, strategic partnerships, and long-term resilience? Or will the pressure of tariffs and political theater force concessions that leave lasting scars? Curiosity deepens. Will Carney walk away with measurable victories that safeguard Canadian industries? Will sector-specific agreements provide immediate relief while the larger CUSMA review continues? And maybe most urgently of all, can Canada maintain its dignity and sovereignty in the face of relentless pressure without sacrificing its economic future? As talks wind down, one reality stands starkly clear. Canada is not for sale, and its leaders will never let threats or theatrics guide the country's direction. Each Washington decision sends a message to the world. Canadian sovereignty, economic stability, and dignity are not for sale. And though the result presents difficulties, it also solidifies the strength, determination, and creativity of a people bent on staying proud. The tale of Canada against mounting American pressures comes to a head, and the lessons run deep. These are times of leadership, strategy, and courage, and the nation comes out more informed, more ready, and stronger. This is not just diplomacy. This is a moment of commanding significance in Canadian history, a demonstration of the strength of deliberate, measured, and courageous decision-making. If you would like to stay up to date as this drama still develops, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and engage in the conversation. Leave a comment below. How do you believe Canada will overcome these challenges? Share this video with family and friends so they get the stakes involved. Together, we can observe, critique, and stand behind Canada's battle to be strong, independent, and free.